Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a Tell It Like It Is Town Hall with a special guest, Governor Christie. And he's probably going to be introducing her very shortly, but nobody can introduce Mrs. Christie like the governor can, but we're privileged to have Mary Pat Christie here tonight also. My name is Wayne McDonald. I'm a state representative from the town of Londonderry. I'm privileged to be in my second term. I chair the Health and Human Services and Elderly Affairs Committee in Concord. Over the years, I've also had the privilege of, on 3 separate occasions, serving as state party chairman of the Republican Party. But more important and more relevant to tonight's gathering is the fact that 8 years ago, I had the high honor of supporting Governor Christie for President of the United States. And obviously tonight, I am again proudly supporting him for President of the United States. America would be a very different place today, and a much better place today, if he had won 8 years ago. And we're hoping to correct that oversight, that mistake, in this election cycle. I'm hoping by the end of this evening, any of you who are, most of you will be with us. Hopefully all of you will work. Many of us, many Americans across the country already are with us. Recently, Governor Christie in second place here in New Hampshire. So the movement is definitely in the right direction. In the White House, he didn't get to be the 45th president, but we need president of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Christie.
All right. Good evening. Well, look, to be back here in New Hampshire. I was board at the Boston Globe. Always an interesting thing for a Republican, let me guarantee you. But we bore up pretty well. Wayne said that I wanted to introduce Mary Pat, and I want to tell all of you how there's lots of ways that 2023 is different than 2015. We were up here together the last time. The biggest difference for me is that now we're empty nesters. We have 30, 27, 3, and 20. So our youngest is at Notre Dame. And so when she went off in August, it has freed Mary Pat up all the time. It's a huge plus for me. I think it, after 37 years of my lifetime partner and friend on the road. Thanks for being here. The editorial board is still ringing in my ears, and people want to talk all the time about how do you get from where you, and I understand why people talk about that off the top. Then we'll hit a couple issues quickly, and then which is what I want to spend most of our time on together tonight. They asked me at the Boston Globe, how do you win? New Hampshire. Like, that's being coy about this. I'm not trying to act like a campaign that's in 40 states right now. I am. And the reason I'm here are the most discerning voter, because it seems to me, especially for those who have spent, are trained for this from the minute you walk into kindergarten for the rest of your part of the training of being at your job for the country. That people who want to be president of the United States do it here, which is this close. So when I've campaigned for other people, and I have, Governor Romney in 2012 during the primary, but in the general election, changes drastically after you leave here. It becomes much more distant. Meet the candidate most of the time face to face. I remember 8 years ago, a couple who had hosted two houses with different friends of theirs and their work. And after the second one, I remember Mary Pat going up to, thank you so much for doing this. And I said, so having your support. And they said, well, we have a day that we don't make a final decision three times. You all have a much different view than anybody else will have. And I would say to all of you is that I think this time, lots of ability than you've had before. And I'm not one of these people who will say this is the most important. It's always important who the President of the United States is going to be. This time it's different because the circumstances are. Yes, we have all kinds of problems in the country, along with the opportunities that we have. We have to reset the standard for what we expect and are willing from a president. In my view, it's standard. Let's start. I mean, he ran 3 years ago saying he was going to govern as a moderate, try to bring both sides together in the country. He immediately started to govern from the far left, policies that were much different than the ones he talked about. But worse yet, what we discovered is feared during the campaign in 20. The time requirements got on him in the presidency. And it is sad to say that he's not up to the job. And this is not a personal criticism of him. And it struck me ago when he had the president of Israel here. Particular news video, but he was sitting in the Oval Office hundreds of times in our lifetime. There's two yellow in front of the fireplace in the Oval Office. And the President of the United States, foreign leader or a member of Congress or someone else, invite all the cameras in and then they take, of the two of them sitting there. While the all come in, it is jammed in that Oval Office. He fell asleep. Of Israel. The United States of America. That awake. When sitting across of our most important ally in the Middle East. We can't have it. Joe Biden and Mary Pat and I, because we went to the University of Delaware, that's where we met. And we saw Joe Biden in the parking lot at football gate to tailgate, grabbing beers from everybody and having to imagine. That Joe Biden is gone. And I have a lot of policy disagreements with him, but if he's that tired now, where will he be 5 years from now? Can't have it. And the only thing worse than that would have took over. Who, whatever her age is is completely ill-prepared. States. I want to make clear my position on Donald Trump. Now, I ran against him in 2015 and 16, and so I didn't want him to be president. I was my first choice. Didn't work out. One up here, and then one in South Carolina, the nominee of our party. I didn't want him. No apologies for that today. I don't think Hillary Clinton president of the United States. So I'd known Donald Trump for, and I thought I could help make him a better candidate and president. And so I supported him. Chairman of his transition. To be chairman of his transition to the White House. To be chairman of his opioid and drug. He offered me Secretary of Homeland Security twice. House Chief of Staff in 2018. Turned all those down. I didn't want to work for him. But in 2016, you up at night? I played Hillary Clinton in 2016. Close your eyes tonight before you go to sleep. Me as Hillary Clinton. He asked me again to prepare and play Joe Biden. I had to take some settings. But I dutifully took them. My point to you in all this when he had no evidence. 2.5 years later, keeps saying it, but still doesn't present any evidence to us that the election was stolen in one of the 6 states he would have needed to change. That was it for me, guys. There are millions of Americans who watched that night and saw the president and believed, well, God, he's the president. And believed him then and believe him. That undercuts our democracy. It's unacceptable for a president of the United States to get the job. To do that to the people. And everything that he's done since then. Not the country. But it's been about him. We can't have a president who puts himself before the country. It's the deal you make that for those periods of 8 that you are going to sacrifice yours for the good of the country. The privilege of knowing every president since President Bush, and every one of them, whether I agreed with their policies or didn't, whether I voted for them, was humbled by that job. Hubris. And they left standing how awesome the job is, how difficult it is to serve the people, and they were humbled by it. All of them except Donald. He was made worse by the job. He was made. And the best example I can give you, Donald Trump that I supported in 2016, stood at our your voice. Believed it. He's running now by your retribution. And the experience he had has done to him. I don't think we want a president as retribution. who wants to raise the country up better for every American citizen, who role in the world that is different, unique. We don't need someone 4-year retribution parade who he thinks may have wronged him, who voted for him twice. But man, and he's done that. He's done it. Is the place that can change history. Your primary insiders, no, your primary in your, or anybody who wants to come and identify today can come and do it and vote in your, want to have an impact on what my choice is going to be in November. I'm going to do it here. Democracy is supposed to work. Thought that it would be in rooms like this, who wanted to be their leaders would come and make their case, wanted to be led. Leave all the other topics for your questions, because I'm sure because we have a bunch of world leaders in the United States, United Nations Week, I think we have to talk about. I went there.